City of Stevens Point Board of Water and Sewerage Commissioners meeting, recorded November 9th, 2020.
All right, so we'll have Mary take the roll call and we'll go on to the minutes of October 12th. Are there any changes or additions? If not, an order to approve is in order, or motion to approve is in order.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. On to the water department claims. Any questions?
Just another personal information one on 54762. When these masks are for COVID protection, or are they just for other uses?
Those are just, the general paper style surgical masks for different areas of the department when they're needed.
Okay.
So on 54794, the $870,000 to pilot payment, we have a little description on that.
Yeah, every year we pay that payment in lieu of taxes pilot to the city. Only the water department pays that. In fact, as far as regulated utilities go, I believe it's just water utilities and electric utilities that pay that to the municipality. It's worked out just the same way a mill rate goes against the value of your home. We have a mill rate that gets calculated against the total value of the plant of the water department, and we pay that. It's $870 even, because several years ago we had an item go before the finance committee to set an upper limit to that, because it had gone up pretty precipitously with the construction of well 11. So anytime we get to 870, it hits its upper limit, and other than that, it's calculated kind of similar to what your property taxes would be.
Thank you. Guess I should have known that. Any other questions on the water department claims? If not, we'll go on to sewage department.
On 54772, there's a payment for landscaping on the lift stations. Now, would that have been separate from working with a general contractor? We contracted out, or how did they show up?
Yeah, it was separate from the general contractor because of some disturbance done at that lift station and some reconstruction, if you will, that was needed for the landscaping outside of the scope of our bid project.
And for full disclosure, that's the station in front of my house.
I was wondering.
Yeah, and there was, to be more detailed, there was a fieldstone berm, like the fieldstone that you see in Wisconsin, in the Portage County out in the farmers' fields, that I had constructed many, many years ago. And rather than have them rebuild about 25% of that berm, we agreed to just have this outfit come in there and plant some wildflowers that are also going to be growing around the lift station itself as well. And so it's a combination of the city's land and our land, but it would have certainly cost a heck of a lot more to pay somebody to rebuild that berm than it would have for this work. And I would guess that the part of that that's on my property is about 1/3 of all the work that was done there.
Okay,
Yeah, and just for everybody's knowledge, we left that out of the contract on purpose because we didn't have a full grasp on the restoration that would be needed while we were bidding it. So it's costs that we would have incurred either way. We just needed to identify it later on in the project when we saw the full impact of the disturbance.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions on the sewage department? Not on to stormwater. Any questions here?
Have none.
All right, if not, we'll take a motion to approve water, sewage, and stormwater claims at this time.
So move, Nachman.
Haynes will second.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Water supply and distribution, Eric.
All right, good morning / good afternoon, I guess, a little afternoon. The only thing I wanted to add is last month I said I'd give an update on well 4 since that's going to be a significant project the next couple of years. I was off last week, but we did receive the final draft that Strand and Associates will be sending to the DNR for a well site investigation plan. So we're going to look through that this week, get that back to them. It's a 48-page report and with maps and data that they're going to send to the DNR for us citing the new well 12, which will replace well 4. So hopefully we'll be getting to that this week, and they'll get that off to the DNR to give us the yay or nay with questions. Other than that, in October, we had Tower 2 right here on Bliss Avenue inspected for its 5-year requirement. Have not seen the report yet on that, but everything looked good. I watched the video while the crew was here inspecting with a robotic diver. And then well 7, the repiping project, was supposed to start last week. They did not show up yet, so I'm hoping they'll be on site this week to start that as well. Any questions on those 3 or anything in the operation?
Is this the first time we've had robotic divers? I've never heard of that before.
Have we had an ROV?
Probably the second. Yeah.
So every 10 years you have to have it drained and inspected by a person. Every 5 you can just have it's a little camera, probably the size of a dinner plate, but 12 inches tall, that they just wash with chlorine, bleach, send it up, and they drop it in the hatch on top. And then it goes down. They control it like a video game, and you can see the screen. It records everything. They take screenshots. So,
Wow.
yeah,
What's the
pretty interesting.
What's the repiping project?
That at well 7, we did that at well 8 in 2019. The meters we have that tell us how much water is going into our system are old propeller meters. They're a 6-foot shaft with a prop on a 90-degree bend. They are probably from the 70s or 60s. They barely make parts for them anymore. We're piping in so we can put in a mag meter, an electronic mag meter, and we don't have enough space in each well house. So we have to, instead of running, so the water comes up out of the ground, it goes out 90 degree, about 3 or 4 feet, and then goes down. We need to now repipe it along the wall and come back in because there's not enough space to get an actual meter in that.
Okay,
Because the existing meter is built on the 90-degree bend going down into the ground. So we have to repipe it along a wall and bring it back to get a new meter into that facility.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This is Carl. I got a question about, there seemed to be quite a jump in the water consumption month over month, probably going back to August, but any insight on what may be going on there? Or is it one big user or just spread all out?
You know, the only thing I can really say, Carl, is it's usually tied to the weather as much as it seems like it may not be the factor. It seems like we had a really dry August, September, and October, and warm. I don't know why people would still be watering in October, but yeah, you can definitely see that climb, especially in August and October. I could look at the mill data to see what they did. They're usually right in the upper 40s to lower 50% of our consumption every month. So they would be, or I should say industrial overall. That's our biggest factor outside of residential.
Sure.
So I'd have to look at it a little bit closer, but that's the only thing I can just pinpoint right now.
I mean, it's
grass
even,
is still growing here in
even,
November and it's 70 degrees.
yeah,
It's crazy.
even going back, multiple years, it just seems to be a high increase.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know whether it was the mill. I was going to suggest that before you mentioned it.
Sure.
Because especially with the plant in Wisconsin Rapids closing and they both having the same owners, I believe.
Yeah.
It's probably worth reporting back next month regarding that, because I was going to ask the same question. So
Sure. And actually, Paul, you bring up a good point. We're in the process of working with the mill and getting all of our meters changed out to the newer style that we use, that we can actually data log and read every hour how much water they're using. Instead of having to physically go into the mill and get a read, we can actually read it remotely outside the building and data log it to see what their consumption looks like. So here in the next couple of months, we should be able to get those meters in. So here next summer, next spring, we should be able to watch the usage every day if we really wanted to.
great.
So
All right.
I've got a question on the new well 12 process. Are we going to go out and do some test drilling and then purchase property for it? Or do we already have a potential locations with city-owned property?
Yeah, Ray, it's going to be a little bit of combination. We will be doing some test drilling in areas where we're interested in siting. One of our options is some right-of-way that's available, but might not be the best position for it, not too far from current well 4 up on the hill. And there are a couple vacant properties up there that we could look at acquiring. So as we get further into the process, we'll be evaluating kind of what the best option is there, and then bringing something forward for either land procurement or to tell you that we're going to use something that is kind of already under our control. But if I had to guess right now, we're going to be looking at a small procurement of land.
Okay.
All right. If there's nothing else in that agenda item, we'll go on to the sewage treatment plant. Chris?
All right, the wastewater plant did meet all of our permit requirements for the month of October. We were able to produce about 50% of our own electricity on site, as well as about 65% of our own heat. That's with the dryer running for half the month, or a little over half the month. So those are some pretty good numbers. Other than that, we had the DNR wastewater treatment plant inspection in the end of October. We did just get that report back. There was one small reporting issue. A wrong date was entered. Instead of being entered in on August 2nd, it was August 3rd. So that was the one deficiency they did find. Overall, it turned out it was a very, very good inspection. And then the other thing I've got for you is we had tried our makeshift pilot of the odor control for our dryer during our last run. We were able to get some very positive results. Unfortunately, due to wind directions and the colder temperatures, I can't guarantee it's going to work. So we're going to put it off and try it again next spring when everything starts warming up, and we'll run it a little longer and make sure that this works before we move forward with any possible projects or anything like that. And that's all I've got.
Very good. Other questions? All right, on to construction and maintenance.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, just trying to button things up here before the winter sets in. Been having a few complaints about some asphalt patches from several residents in the city, and working hard on trying to get we have a contract with American Asphalt, which is bid out every spring, and they received the contract. they're having problems with some COVID stuff as everybody else is, as far as trying to keep crews going and stuff. So we're working hard. Actually, we got a couple guys out today doing some of our smaller patches ourselves to try to get some of this done. And water crew has been pumping fire hydrants out that don't drain, getting some more hydrants to drain, just doing maintenance stuff, getting ready for the winter. So also we did have our storm guys out one time at the airport already to plow the runway and things like that, and the machine ran real well. So set for the winter time out there also. So that's all I got.
Thank you, Craig. Joel, on to the network report.
Yeah. Not a lot to report, not a lot of new stuff to report this month. We did have a bit of a conference call today with the school district to get a little more insight into startup here. All the fiber's in for that big project. They're starting to use it, so we'll start billing soon, which is a good thing. And I'll have a little more. I know I mentioned last month that as it closes up, we'll have a final report for you. We're just not quite there yet, so probably looking at last month for that, or sorry, next month for that.
Great. What's the reason for the attendance worksheet that I've never seen before?
Yeah, so I was just going to cover that in my director's report, if you don't mind. Carl had asked last month, he noticed that in our minutes, if you recall, we didn't have an attendance section. And he drew our attention to that. And it was honestly one of those things that just got missed because this whole format that you see here, all of this stuff on our agenda is an automated web-based app now where, you know, this kind of stuff comes in automatically up here. And then all these things, you put in an item and then you can put in attachments. And there wasn't a spot in that app for us to do attendance, which is why you'll notice roll call on there was item number 1 today. We didn't typically have a roll call item. We just noted attendance in the past. But since we didn't have a specific agenda item for it, we couldn't put anything in the minutes that reflected attendance. So we added roll call, and we'll just do that. We'll make note of who's at the meeting. But the reason that we put that in there is because Carl had asked about getting some corrections in there. So we couldn't go back and amend the past ones. So I thought that we could just put this in, you know, by way of mentioning it. It's kind of in the record now to take place of the attendance we missed starting in June. So the last couple months. So it's all here.
You should all get a gold star for perfect attendance from June forward.
Yep.
Are you going to attach this to the minutes of this month's meeting then?
Yeah, since it's part of the packet, it'll be in there. So if anybody wants to reference it, it'll be there.
Very good.
Does that also then address the airport commission coming up?
Oh, Carl, maybe not. Well, same attendance, right? We'll copy it. We'll copy the sheet into the minutes there. That kind of slipped my mind. I got to be honest. I don't know if it's in there or not. We'll see when we get there.
Our minutes for October, it does show just like the old format.
Right. Yeah. So this item, as we get into airport, as we go forward on roll call, it'll be there because of that. We can note the attendance on airport commission, same as the utility commission.
All right. Anything else before we adjourn? If not, a motion to adjourn is in order.
Move to adjourn.
All those in favor signify by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
A video of this meeting is available for viewing on the city's website, stevenspoint.com/videos.